Questions are being raised on whether this is a bona fide media story or is everyone engaging in vicarious pleasure by looking at the family problems that the Tharoors are currently going through. Jamal Sheikh, editor of Men's Health, is now joining us. Jamal, you've been tracking the story very, very closely. Who's to blame over here? In your view, is it Meher Tarar, is it Sunanda Tharoor, is it Shashi Tharoor, or is it Twitter?
I think who is to blame is a lack of understanding that, Twitter is a very public platform, and whatever we put out in a very intimate moment is going to be broadcast to the world. And what has happened is obviously a very private spat that has been put out on Twitter. And it's for the world to see. It is a public person and his wife, probably in a weak moment, in a moment of anger, suspicion, whatever it is. It's a private thing between the two of them. Put out certain tweets through Shashi Tharoor's phone that I think she probably regrets, which is why the clarification.
The clarification came much later, but before then a lot of damage had been done. But the journalist in Pakistan raises a couple of important questions. How can someone stalk someone on Twitter? Clearly, this was Sunanda in a weak moment saying some of the stuff that she did, because some of that Pakistani journalist says is valid. How do you stalk someone on Twitter? She could be calling him. So clearly, there are several questions that are thrown up by the entire episode.
Right, absolutely. I think the biggest lesson to be learned is that it's a public platform, and even if you're a private person and not a public person like Shashi Tharoor, whatever you put out is out there for public consumption, public questioning. Right, and voyeurism sells like nothing else, be it in the entertainment industry, in politics, in everything else. They're calling it the Twitter love triangle. Twitter loves Shashi Tharoor more than Shashi Tharoor loves Twitter.
And ironically, it's Twitter that got Tharoor in trouble the first time round when he lost out and had been in exile for the longest time. It's Twitter that's got him into trouble once again.
Absolutely.
He though has become far more careful in the way that he tweets, but this time the trouble came from the closest quarters, from where he wouldn't have ever imagined that there'd be trouble.
No politician in the world can claim to be completely Twitter savvy.
Okay, Meher Tarar is joining us from Pakistan this evening. And Meher, I realize that this has been a very, very long and tough day. You probably never anticipated or expected anything like this. Can you give our viewers, because this is a story that's being tracked very closely, can you give our viewers, Meher, a sense of what really has been going on? They've heard Sunanda Tharoor's allegations against you. She says that you're trying to ruin her marriage with Shashi. What's really been going on, Meher?
I was as taken aback as anybody and everybody else when I saw that tweet. I actually thought I was hallucinating. I thought maybe I was dreaming or something when I looked at that tweet. But then looking at the way those tweets were worded, I realized that those weren't Shashi Tharoor's words, because that's not the way he writes. So, and a while later, he did come on Twitter and say that he did not tweet those things. So, okay, what is the question? What exactly is...
No, because clearly Sunanda at some level, Meher, feels that there is a relationship between you and Shashi, and she's saying that she's charging you with trying to break their marriage. That's what she's essentially saying.
I want to understand. I have questions for her.
Yes.
Apparently I'm supposed to be stalking her husband all the way from Pakistan. How does one stalk anybody on the phone? I don't even know that. And if I'm stalking him on the phone, how am I messing his marriage up? That is my second question. One, am I a stalker? Two, I live in Pakistan, so how am I messing his marriage up all the way from Pakistan if all I'm doing is stalking him? Three, I want to ask her and I have asked her this question on each and every channel who has called me, or the publications. On what basis has she called me an ISI spy or ISI agent or something? Does she even realize how reckless this statement is and what this can do to my life, even if I'm living in Pakistan, and what it can do to my family, to be called an ISI spy? She goes on a TV channel and she opens her mouth and she says, I'm an ISI spy. How? What have I done in India that would say to anybody that I'm an ISI spy? I've been to India twice. The first time was to interview Dr. Tharoor, and the second time was to conduct another interview. I have never met her. I have never spoken to her. I've got nothing to do with her. The only interaction I've ever had with her husband is what I've always tweeted about. I've written to him, I've spoken to him, but each and every time that I've spoken to him has been about his books, about politics in Pakistan and India, about my articles, about what he had written. That's the only kind of interaction we've ever had with one another, and even that came to an end months ago. And all of a sudden, out of the blue, first on December 25th, she called me an ISI agent just because I'm a Pakistani in India. I was visiting India and I was in India. She decided to call me an ISI agent. She called me a liar. She called me all kinds of things. And now, today, I find out that, she's been,
How closely do you know Dr. Tharoor, Meher?
The extent of my knowledge of him is exactly what I've just told you. Respect him a great deal. I've always talked about it. He's one of the nicest politicians. He's the kind of politician I would want everybody to be. He's a fabulous writer, and I always believe his books never got the due recognition. I started reading his books because I was planning to write a book on the election in India. So I could get a visa for that long. But then, and since he was the only politician I knew, I asked him if I could cover his election, and he said yes. And I spoke to Penguin India about it. I have emails to show for that. I wrote to them in April.
I think Sunanda felt the way that she did. Have you had any opportunity to reflect on that? Given the very public nature of her outburst, she was very clearly threatened by your interactions with Shashi for her to take to Twitter in the way that she did.
No, but that's the whole thing. First she accused me of having an affair with him, and then she accused me of stalking him. So I have asked her on Twitter, what is it that I've been trying to do here? First she has to tell me, because both things have very different connotations. Both of them portray me in very different lights. If I'm having an affair or whether I'm stalking him. First she has to. The point is, I live in Pakistan. I'm a Pakistani Muslim woman who lives in Pakistan. He's an Indian Hindu married politician. Jisko milne ke liye I would need a visa. Why would I have anything to do with a man I can't even meet? It's not that, he lives across town and I can just drive over to meet him. And why would I have anything to do with the man who I can't acknowledge publicly anywhere? I mean, since he's so high profile and he's in the news all the time and he's with his wife all the time, and what time do I have to stalk him or to do anything with him that I can't talk about?
What's been the response, Meher, in Pakistan? Ever since this controversy exploded on social media, what's been the response in Pakistan and how are people reacting to the position you find yourself in?
Pakistani people on Twitter, those are the only people I know, or those are the only people who have commented on me, and everybody has been exceptionally good to me. All the people, people I follow and people who follow me, everybody has shown tremendous support, even though, I am being linked with a Hindu married politician from India. But nonetheless, people have supported me. But the strangest thing that has happened today is, Mrs. Tharoor came online to say to people that all Indians should unfollow me. And ever since she tweeted that, I think 3,000 people followed me, and I think 2,900 of them are Indians. And they've all taken my side. They have all criticized what she has done. They have all supported me. People have sent me messages, emails, DMs, phone calls from India, from Pakistan, from all over. People I don't even know, 10 people. Everybody, no, other than, yes, I have been abused by people. The typical abuses that would come when a Congress minister's wife decides to come online and call me an ISI agent and call me, and decided to call me a stalker and trying to jeopardize her husband's election or career or future or something. I've forgotten what it was.